Excuse me. So yeah, on Tuesday I was going to talk more about um, the Gale ebook thing, which we had talked a little bit about on Thursday, and the um, the concept of activating the ebooks. And I'm on my screen, I'm looking at the consortium website, and if we go to the Gale WSL contracts page, there's the list of collections that are in WSL and the ones you can activate in the CZ to make that content searchable if you've signed up for the WSL contract. And I'll pause there for a second to see if I don't know if there's any questions just about that general notion. And for those of you who have signed up for the WSL contract, if you've done that, or if you have any questions or thoughts or anything to add about any of the individual collections, whether you've, we had some discussion last week about I think SJ shared that at Shoreline there were a couple that they decided they didn't want to activate because they didn't think the content was useful or relevant to what they're doing.
We talked to the Gale rep, and she told us that academic one file and let's see, academic general file, if you made those available, it had most of the and also the Informe Academicals, it had most of the materials of all the other ones.
Oh, interesting. Oh, yeah, and that's good to know. That I guess it would save you a little bit of work on activation. And I would say that it and I guess in some sense it might, I don't know, I don't think it would hurt to activate them all just for complete coverage. If that's what you've done, I think that's fine. I mean, it also makes sense that a lot of the content would be covered by. I don't know. I can't think of any downsides to activating them all. I guess you would see maybe a little more confusion on the user side. Maybe, if you find a citation that's in a bunch of them, then they will all those on the detail page of that citation, you'd see, a link for Gale Academic One file, a link for Gale Business Entrepreneurship, a link for Gale General One file. If that citation is in all of those, then it should be equivalent. So that might be one downside to activating and ending up with those duplicate links in the link resolver section of the Primo display. Any that and that I was just thinking out loud that might mean that even though Shoreline decided not to activate something like middle school, that content may be in academic one file, so that might work against selecting what to activate a little bit, but that's a pretty incremental concern. Anything else for those of you who are on the Gale, signed up for Gale, maybe new to Gale? The one of particular interest last week was the Gale ebooks, because there is a Gale ebooks collection in the CZ that you can activate, but you don't want to activate it indiscriminately because there's like 30,000 titles in there, and the books that we're looking the books in the WSL contract, there's only about 90 of them. So you would, if you want to activate those, you only want to activate those 90-ish. And then, let's see, where is it? And SJ shared this nice spreadsheet of, and we'll talk about this a little bit more in a second, but I just wanted to, and I haven't linked this to the page on the consortium yet, but I will. And you can get it out of the Alma list, but the first thing to decide about those Gale ebooks is whether the titles look interesting or useful to your patrons. And that I just pulled this up because this does have the spreadsheet that SJ shared does have the titles for all of these. So, depending on how interesting these look to you, can activate them or not. And then I'll show you one way to activate them that's from the list of ebook ISBNs, and this would be the easiest way to do it. And then we can talk about what SJ did. But so if you download that file that's linked on the consortium website, you'll see it's just a list of ISBNs, 88 ISBNs that we can activate. And what I'll do is walk through activation in one of the sandboxes of how, and I am recording this, so let's see, what's the password? Actually, with these headphones on, I'm not hearing the construction noise much at all, so hopefully it's not coming through the mic either. A lot of sawzall noise and hammering noise going on at the moment. So here I am in sandbox. Oh, good, yeah. So it's all quiet on your end. Good. So what I would do is look for the Gale ebooks collection. And it's, presumably you don't have it yet, so you want to look in the community zone. And so here's the collection in the community zone that we'll use. There's 32,000 ish titles in there, and of course we only want to activate 80 or 80 or so of them. So ignore the home icon shouldn't be there. I'm not sure why. Maybe this is, I think there's a stale activation in the institutional zone or something. So I'm just going to pretend like it's not. I'll just, you won't, if you're not using if you haven't yet used a Gale ebooks collection in your environment, you won't, it will just be like a community zone collection that hasn't been activated yet. With the home icon means that somewhere there's something activated in the institution zone on this, but I think
that might be linked to that virtual reference library. That's what it used to be called.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So if I click there, yeah, you're right. Yeah. And let's see. Oh, I think this is stuck in some. I'm not going to try to delete this now, so we'll just. What you'll see when you come in, when you search for Gale ebooks, is you'll just see a community zone collection that's not activated yet in your environment, and you can activate it. So you would start by selecting activation, and then you won't get this because it's there. You won't have this situation. So it's basically And most of the things in here, you'll just use defaults for the, I mean, you can give it a different name if you want a different name for it. It's typically you won't, unless you're Seattle colleges or maybe Spokane, where you have different access for different libraries. It wouldn't be anything to select there. Mark bib is suppressed. You should just leave checked. What that means, just a reminder, what that means is that you generally want to leave that checked so that the collection level record does not show up in Primo. Because otherwise, if we unchecked that and activated it, then in Primo, you would just see, there would be some title level record in Primo for Gale ebooks that wouldn't really do anything. It's not pointing to any particular titles. It might take you, if the URL is correct, it might take you to the landing page for the collection, but that's not, I mean, you already do that in multiple places, like in your A to Z list. So that's typically you want to, unless you have some specific reason not to suppress it, that you would just leave that suppressed, and you would set, actually, this one doesn't matter. This just controls the proxying of that title record. So since the title record is suppressed, proxying that record is irrelevant. That's not the proxy that will do anything for us. For that, we want to activate the collection, make the service available. We do not want to automatically activate new portfolios because we only have a set number of titles that we have access to. So it would be we don't, that's right. So we would then say, and I'll pause there, see any questions on this this page of the wizard. At this point, it's just like activating a new electronic collection. There's nothing in particular you would need to do. Now, loc ID, this is important for Gale. There are Gale loc IDs, and you'll know what that is. Like, Wenatchee Valley College. I'm not sure. I forget what they look like, but whatever your loc ID is that for your account, then you would put it there. Here you do want to enable the proxy because this is the proxy for all of the links to those ebooks. So you would enable that and select your default proxy. So that's kind of a Gale specific page, and that's pretty self-explanatory. The next one, this is where it becomes this is where you want to, this requires some consideration for this way of activating. Not too much, but generally when you're activating a new collection, often you'll just activate everything. You just buy an entire collection and you just have access to all of it. In this case, we want to activate electronic collection and selected portfolios via Excel file upload. So that's the one we want, because we happen to have that spreadsheet of nice ISBNs that will work to activate those from that list. Another way to do it is say manual activation, and then you'd have to go through manually and pick and choose the titles to activate of those 32,000, and that's kind of cumbersome. So that's generally not something that you'd want to do. So we'll activate based on that Excel file. And then I'll just point to the file or upload it. It's that Gale ebook titles list that I just downloaded. The record format, you can leave as Mark 21. I think I don't really understand that, because since it's a spreadsheet of ISBNs, I don't think when you do this, I don't know if that selection is even considered. So we don't want to add local portfolios. We just want to activate those records in the community zone. Validate online, you can leave as is. That just, I think that applies if you're trying to add local portfolios. So, and sorry, I didn't pause on that previous screen either, but I'll pause it. I'll pause now and see if there are any questions or if anybody wants clarification on anything or more discussion. Is anybody doing this live right now in their environment? So then if I say next, it's going to, it's going to grab that file that I pointed to, I think. Yeah, and did a bit of, what did a bit of evaluation of that file, and what it's, it compared all those ISBNs to the portfolios that are those 32,000-ish portfolios in the community zone, and it's saying, okay, we have out of those 88 ISBNs, there are 80 in this collection, so I can continue and activate those 80. And then I think this will tell us, and this might be helpful in a second. Let's see, I forget. Yeah, okay, good. So, and that warning file will tell us which ones it didn't find. So we can look at that in a second to see what to do about that if we want to do anything. So now I'm going to activate these. So now it's doing the, I think this is the online validation part. Boom. Okay, so let's see what happened now. Let's see if okay, so let's see. So the electronic activations job is running now, so it's going through and activating. And this, since there are only 80 records, it might, I'm hoping it will finish pretty quickly here. I think when I've done this a couple times and recently on this list of files just to see, and it generally has gone pretty quickly. Well, while it's doing its thing there, where's so the ones that are not found, like if there's different things you can do with the ones that are not found. Is first I want to see if they are in, okay, so it's in a collection somewhere. It looks like it's in, it's in a couple of other collections. Let's look at, and let's see, I'm curious now in SJ spreadsheet, if we look at, darn it, because this spreadsheet is in a different ISBN format. I'm not going to find. I can do, what was that title? What do you say is that? I'm not sure. Let's see. Is that what number is that? So that's the MS ID. Are these numbers? No, okay. So anyways, let's see if our job is run. Yeah, okay, so it's done. Completed successfully, it should say something like, yeah, 82 entities. And the 82 is the 80 book titles it found, plus one for the collection and one for the service. So that's why it says 82 there rather than 80. So now we have the collection. There's our 80 portfolios in the Gale eBooks collection, all set up and ready to go. That this is a sandbox, so there's not a Primo instance to look at this through. But these, if this was one of your live environments and we just did this, then all of these books would be showing up in Primo now, and it would, all the linking and proxying and everything would be all set to go. And the other good piece of doing it from the community zone collection is these titles are all linked to the community zone, so that as any changes or updates to these records in the community zone will automatically take effect in your environment without any any fussing on your part. Now about the 8 additional books. What was the name of that one? Shoot. Anybody remember that? What was it? What
do you say?
What do you say? I'm just. Okay. So is this the same? So there is a book by that title in the Gale eBooks collection. It doesn't have the ISBN that was in the list that I used, which came from Tracy Taylor at Bellingham, which came from, I believe, from Gale, or I'm not sure where she got it. What I'm trying to determine real quick here, if I can, is don't know if there's what other info we have here. Maybe. Oh, there we go. Holly. Britannica Digital Learning. I'm just trying to see if. Yeah, I don't know if that's. I don't know if that's the missing title or not, but just just to kind of do a little something a little instructive here. Let's assume this is for a moment that this is the book that didn't get activated from those it's one of those 8 out of 88. What I can do, and remember when I pointed to the oh shoot, that's not what I wanted to do. Sorry. Yeah, remember that when we pointed to the spreadsheet of ISBNs that I uploaded, we could have also said to manually activate based on titles. And if we assume that what do you say in the Gale ebooks collection is the one that didn't have an ISBN match, here's how you would activate it manually. I would go find that title. What do you say? And then activate it. Nope, it's giving me some kind of. Okay, so that yeah, typically that's all you would need to do. I'm getting an error message here because I've activated that Gale ebooks collection twice in this environment. So that's not a typical scenario that would come about, but otherwise that would activate that title, and since the collection's all set up, it would just, again, as soon as I activated it, it would be searchable in Primo and linkable and all that. So and what we could do, but it would take too much time, is go through those 8. Oh, is this no? Go through those 8. Go through these 8 that weren't found and see if it actually exists in the Gale collection and activate it like manually, like we just did. But what I can do is review that offline, and I can even update these ISBNs with the appropriate ones from the Gale ebooks collection. So, and then repost this file. So this list will match 88 out of 88 rather than 80 out of 88. So that's, and if we were to look at one more, I won't try to look at one more right now. That's generally, that would be the best way. That's the easiest, kind of best, and and easiest to maintain way of activating a selective set of portfolios in an electronic collection from the community zone. the other way, which is what SJ did, because they had a particular reason they didn't want to do that, because they had Gale ebooks activated already or something. I think they already had a Gale ebooks collection. They had the Gale ebooks collection activated with things that they had bought, and they didn't want to mix the WSL subscribed titles, which they may or may not have long term, into that same collection, because then you have a collection in Alma that's kind of representing things from two different kind of sources, or two different purchasing methods, and maybe two different subscribed versus perpetual access. So they had a particular reason they didn't want to do what we just did. So they actually, and this was what SJ talked about last week, they took SJ created this spreadsheet of records that they could then upload to Alma as local records. And there's a couple things here. If you wanted to do this, there are some institutionally specific things in here. One is the reference to the easy proxy, and then the other is the reference to the Gale loc ID. So the first thing you'd need to do when loading from a spreadsheet like this, or at least from SJ spreadsheet, is to do a search and replace in this column. Like you could replace easyproxy.shoreline.edu to easyproxy. Whatever the name of yours is. And that will replace those things. And then you'd need to replace the loc ID, which is that U equals part of this easy proxy URL shore. Theirs happens to be shore LNCC. So we would change that to whatever your loc ID is. Let's just say WBC 198. And then replace all of that stuff. And then save that. I'll save that as something new. Yeah, so now I've modified that for my institution. I'm going to assume all the other stuff. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how SJ. I guess he downloaded this stuff from the community zone. Oh, hang on just a sec, guys. I'm needed on the Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. And I apologize for that going on, but it's, it's been a challenge to get the, the guys lined up to do the job. Everybody's just so busy out here. I'm just glad it's happening. But anyways, okay, back to, let's see what we were talking about. Oh yeah, so SJ's file, so we just modified it. Now we just need to load this set of records. And this is, I think it's might have been a while, but this is something we've talked about before. We're creating a local collection from those titles. So the first thing that we'd want to do is, and hopefully I have all the correct. Yeah, I'm going to add a local electronic collection, because what I want is someplace to, if I'm doing it this way, I want someplace to, like a container to put those portfolios in once they're created. So I'm going to create just a blank electronic collection called, test Gale ebook collection in this place. Collection type, it's local, so it doesn't, that doesn't matter so much. That part doesn't matter. Full text. Yeah, these are available in full text, so we'll leave that. Again, that pretty much you just need to give it a name. And I think that's might be it. Or maybe not. Oh yeah, so service activation will be available. Service description, full text, linking. This is kind of, let's see. Service is not free. We'll enable the proxy. And I believe that's all we want to do there. And we could come back and change this. Yeah, so we're going to, so we're going to load the portfolios, right? Sorry, I didn't practice this one before, so I'm kind of relearning it as we go through. So the portfolios, this is where we'll load the portfolios from that spreadsheet. And test upload is my file. Leave record format is Mark 21. Add local portfolios. Validate online. And update and delete would be if would be in scenarios where this is a new collection, so that these really wouldn't apply. But if we were updating portfolios that I already had in the collection or deleting them, I could do that. But let's see if this. Yeah, so 87 portfolios out of 87 in the file. So no, there's nothing to look at, that they all exist. So then I'm going to load those. And then I will save. And now we should see, yeah, that job running. Oh, and I'm sorry, I see some chat. Okay. Oh, Naoko, that's interesting. I'm sorry I missed that comment. I noticed, oh, not all titles in the spreadsheet from Gale are found in our Gale ebooks. Yeah, those are those. I assume you mean that you're basically saying those 8 out of the 88 that we didn't find in my and then Laura asks, if you do use the same collection for books you have permanent access to, and these are subscription only, will the date activated allow you to run a list later if you need to remove the subscriptions later? Yeah, good question, Laura. I'm yeah, you would be able to I want to say yes, we could confirm that by taking a look, but that sounds like a great idea that you'd be able to discern from the activation date. And Naoko, if you weren't just referring to the fact that to what we saw with those 8 books that we didn't find, I assume that's maybe what you were talking about. Okay, so that's
Well, because
oh,
we already had almost, I think we already had over 200 titles before we went with the state
yeah, I
package.
got you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really relied on the spreadsheet from the vendor rather than going to the support site and pull the titles there because it's interfile.
Uh-huh.
But
Oh yeah, yeah.
and I see some titles that are in SJ's spreadsheet. They don't totally match with mine from the
Oh,
Gale.
yeah.
So I have to find out what's going on.
Yeah, and that and I can ask SJ on the list, or you can, or maybe he says I don't remember how he compiled his list.
Right.
Because if he could have done something like taken the list of ISBNs and then pulled the info out of the CZ based on those ISBNs, and if they weren't kind of like we saw with that title, what do you say? That I mean, it becomes a metadata issue. You know, is the ISBN referring to what's actually in the the ISBNs can be different, unfortunately. So hopefully not often, but you know what I'm saying? If he pulled that data from the CZ, it might not. He might have like using the Gale ISBNs pulled data from the CZ. He might have got data that doesn't actually represent the titles in the Gale collection. That's a possibility. I don't really know.
I think it's more of an error on the vendor side because
Yeah.
the particular title that you use as an example, that's actually in our database, but it wasn't on the list from the rep.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
SJ's list is more accurate than the list
Oh,
from the rep.
yeah. Oh, and you think and this list I got from Tracy, and you think she got it from the web. I didn't actually, I actually didn't think about, oh, where did this list come from?
Yeah, I
Like
think Stacy said that how to get, like she had an instruction on how to get the titles. Yeah,
I
so
got
I
you.
think
Yeah.
she got it from the support side, which is great. But for me,
Yeah.
that already includes the ones that we purchased prior.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got you. Yeah. So, oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So, and actually, maybe what we could have done is take, instead of, and see, where did I get my ISBNs? Oh yeah, that's from the web. Yeah. So, and we could have, like the first process I demonstrated, we could have used the ISBNs from SJ spreadsheet, and that maybe we would have gotten all, maybe we wouldn't have maybe we would not have had any mismatches, but I don't know. Gosh, so now well, let's see. Okay, so our second one So we did kind of the local load of those portfolios based on the spreadsheet data. So I've got 87 of those. And then let's take a look at the collection in our institutional zone now. So what did I call it? Gale test or test Gale? Uh-oh. Oh yeah, okay, so here we go. We've got the 87 books. And then again, we can't look at these in Primo, but we can. I don't think, yeah, this may not. Okay, so this is the link that this is not really Primo, but this is the, like in the list of available options for a title that, I mean, this is the link that would appear. And I just want to see, so, and we can see, I put in bogus information. I don't know if that's really, I don't know if that's Wenatchee's easy yeah, that may not, yeah, I guess this is not a real easy proxy site, but this URL is correct, it's constructed correctly. It's just, it's got bogus information. It doesn't work. So that would give us, that would take us to the title if I had used real information and then we were going, we're using the proxy, it's got the right Gale information in it. So that's all good. So that worked as well. So so really the question, the interesting part of this discussion now is, yeah, I'm looking at SJ's. I want to see if SJ says where they got the create a separate local collection for WSL subsidized Gale ebooks to keep them separate from our CZ GVRL collection, which is basically saying what I described as doesn't want to mix and match the purchase titles with subscription title. Let's see. I could not get any of the information plus reference series titles to work. Yeah, I'm not sure which titles those are. Yeah, so I'll ask SJ via the list, how he compiled that and where, how he compiled that info. Because what if do that? What time is it? Because maybe these ISBNs are more accurate, and I could post, and then these would be a better set of ISBNs to do the activation as we did in my first example, where you're just activating things in the community zone based on an ISBN. That might be, and that way, because I think, Laura's point is a good one, and maybe you were thinking the same thing, Naoko. Since you guys may already have books activated in the Gale ebook collection, rather than mess with a second collection, just activate those titles selectively and then count on, if you do need to remove them. Actually, to remove them, you could just, one way would just be to keep that spreadsheet of, and it'll be on the consortium website as well, and that could be used to delete. But also, if let's do an electronic portfolio. I just want to see if in advanced search for electronic portfolio, let's see, do I have, activation date. Like if we do today, we should have something like 160-ish Oh, yeah, no, 80, we activated 80, we actually created those, yeah, so Laura, the answer to your question is yes, we can just activate, or you could, if you've already got stuff in the Gale ebooks collection activated, then you could activate this set and then identify them later for removal based on activation date. I'm curious why the creation date, let's look at creation date equals today, just out of, will that include those ones that we created from the load? Oh, okay, so that. Now that includes both sets we just loaded, and it's the ones that we loaded locally don't have an activation date. And I guess that makes sense because we're not activating them. Activation is a CZ activity, and these aren't in the CZ, so there's no activation date, just a creation date. So we're just, yeah, we're at the hour now, so I don't want to burn up too much of everyone's time, but I hope that was, if anybody has other questions. Oh, okay, so I see a couple other. And then Naoko asked, Laura, do you pay a hosting fee for the titles you purchased before the WSL deal? Okay. Why, do you know, Naoko?
We do pay annually, like a $300.
Yeah.
And with the state deal, I was hoping to negotiate with the Gale. We have access to the platform.
Yeah.
So, but they're not getting back to us. So I wanted to know if anybody else was having the same problem.
You wanted to try to save that $300 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised that Laura, you said that you're not, oh, she's just left.
Yeah. It may be because of other Gale services you have, or maybe it's just a difference in the contracts you guys have or something.
Right.
Now, do they give you the option of downloading the books and hosting them yourself?
I don't know, actually.
I mean, it's almost like $300. It's, and it may be something that Renton pays that they're not thinking of as a hosting fee. It's just the account service fee or something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it does say hosting fee in the bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to investigate.
Like, what's your total Gale like bill for the year? I'm just curious, like ballpark. I'm just curious how much, is that $300? Is that a few percent of the total cost, or?
Well, it's specifically for hosting the perpetual access
Oh, I
titles.
see. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not for any of the
Yeah.
other databases. So I thought it was really high for that. And
Yeah.
now that we actually have access to 80 something titles through state deal, we shouldn't have to pay for that. The platform is the same for all.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you said, I think you said you had 200 or so titles that you have perpetual access to.
Right.
Yeah. So they're charging you a little over $1 a year for hosting, which doesn't sound like too much. But I don't know if that's typical or not. Perpetual is such a loaded term because how how long is the vendor really going, you know, it's
I
perpetual
know.
until the vendor, you know, loses the, you know, until something happens, right?
Right.
Do you have any idea what those, were those perpetual titles purchased recently? Or,
Every year we purchase some.
oh, some, like,
Mhm.
are they 1,000 each or like a few hundred each or?
More like 20 each.
Oh, so they're not, yeah, they're not much. Are they, and are they, that's so, and are they multiple user, like, or are they one?
Yeah, it's unlimited.
So it's not super rare content, or I don't want to say not high
It's all,
quality, but
it's all reference titles.
yeah. So it's, yeah, basic reference stuff. I got you.
Mm-hmm. But I'll be just curious to see if anybody else is paying for the hosting fee now that, you know, someone isn't.
Yeah, I mean, it might be, yeah, there's such different, it might be hard for anyone at Gale to really even tease that out. I mean, that's kind of that you know, they're different agreements. So you know, the agreement through WSL is really with the state library, whereas your perpetual are really with Highline, so they're kind of two separate contracts.
So
But
you don't think we
it'd be
can
a good
get it?
question. Yeah, it'd be a good question for the list. You'd probably get some responses.
You're killing my hope to save $300.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently that could buy another 15 perpetual titles.
No, perpetual titles are very expensive.
Oh, I thought you just said that those titles were only.
Oh, I thought you said the number of titles that we buy each year. We
No,
add like
no.
20 titles.
Yeah.
each.
Oh, okay. No, I got you.
Oh, sorry.
So what's the price? So what's the per, like, is it in the
it varies a lot. It's usually several $100s.
Yeah,
and
okay. So
yeah. Sorry, I misunderstood.
yeah, no, that makes more sense. I thought, God, 20, that's it's not. I was thinking, oh, it's just not very good content, but or just a link to Wikipedia is what they're giving you or something.
Naoko, this is Karabeth
Hi.
from Grace Harbor, and we also pay the hosting fee, and it's $300 a year for.
Oh, good. Oh, that's good to know.
Oh.
Oh, so you have some existing titles as well, Carabeth?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
We have the Gale virtual reference, and we typically add maybe a handful of titles every year. I can't tell. I want to say we probably have something like 200 to 300 titles in that collection. So, and I don't even know. I don't know how they're on our site. I don't know if Adrienne has set those up as a collection or I almost never look at Primo, so.
Yeah, I gotcha. Yeah, and I'm sorry, I said I mispronounced your name, I think. My apologies. Kara, not Kara.
I'm getting on people's case more about that, so
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I realized that. Yeah, I realized after I said it. Oops.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
this was helpful.
Oh, I'll stop the recording. Yeah, so I'll